Hi, and welcome to another episode of Australian Caravan and Camping Adventures. Here we are at Caernarfon Gorge. We have a massive 2-week trip ahead of us as we make our way from Brisbane all the way out to Winton. Travelling with a 1-year-old has meant that getting from point A to B is not going to be as straightforward as our previous outings. We've had to reduce the amount of driving each day to a maximum of 5 hours with plenty of stops along the way. And to ensure we're able to experience all that the outback has to offer, we've brought along our full-time babysitters, aka the grandparents. We'll be travelling in a 2-car convoy, towing the caravan and the camper trailer. First stop, Caligua Lagoon. Our free water view camp spot is situated just south of Condamine. Besides the obvious choice to admire the lagoon with some wine and cheese, other activities include swimming, fishing and water sports, with a boat ramp available for launching boats. In the middle of the campsite you will find clean, flushing toilets and an outdoor shower. Pretty good for a free camp spot. With our first of many pack-ups to come, we hit the road to Carnarvon Gorge, roughly 400 kilometres north. It's not long before we encounter our first road train carrying oversized machinery. This is tiny in comparison to the road trains that we are yet to face. The last petrol station on the south side of Caernarfon Gorge is at Injune, which is about a 2-hour drive away. It's important that we fill up here so that we have enough fuel when we eventually leave Caernarfon to make our way to Emerald. It's also essential that we stop at every playground along the way to make our driving experience manageable with a toddler. Sandstone Park is where we'll be staying for the next 3 nights. To camp here you need to be self-sufficient, but the 360-degree mountainous views and spacious sights make this campsite absolutely worth it. Today we're going to make some easy dinner, so we've got burgers. We've just cooked some beef mince on the barbecue plate over there on the fire. And we've got our fancy brioche buns from Aldi, bit of American cheese. Pop the patty on there. It's really handy to make sure that you prepare your little items in advance. So we've got some pickles here, some onions. And lastly, to top it off, we've got some good old tomato sauce and some mayonnaise. And there you have it, fancy burger. There is so much to do at Carnarvon Gorge, which is why you need to stay here for at least 3 nights. Along the main track, there are 13 sites to walk to. The rock pool is 3.6 kilometres from the main walking track and an excellent place to cool off. It's also the only designated part of the gorge that you can swim in. Past floods caused the natural pool to form in the bed of Caernarfon Creek, and whilst there are plenty of signs to discourage you from jumping or diving from the rocks, there are plenty of daredevils who can't seem to resist the temptation. There is plenty of wildlife to admire here, from the wallabies hopping along the dirt tracks to the turtles and fish swimming in the rock pool. If you're quiet enough, you might even get the chance to spot a platypus. We weren't that lucky, but we did encounter another animal that was just as exciting. We just spotted a wild echidna, and it's so cute. It's just doing its own little thing, and it seems to be pretty confident to be walking around near us. Echidnas are monotremes, which are mammals that lay eggs. A female will lay a single egg into her pouch, which will hatch within 10 days. The baby, or puggle as they're called, is then carried around in the pouch for 3 months. They are supposedly quite shy creatures that will curl into a ball to bare their sharp spines when frightened, but this little guy was obviously quite used to having visitors. The main walking track is a must-do, though just how far you want to walk is completely up to you. The advice that you'll be given is to walk to the furthest point that you'd like to reach before turning around to visit each of the sites that veer off from the main track. This will ensure that you're on the home stretch when you start to get exhausted. The Amphitheater is a cool and tranquil cavern, accessible by a ladder and through a crack in a massive rock. It is the after effect of eroding sandstone, worn away by water that used to flow down the sides of the sandstone mass and out of a narrow passage, which is now the entrance to the natural wonder. And we're here at Ward's Canyon, which is one of the scenic sections just off the main track. We've left Ella with her grandparents just down by the Amphitheater, which is another really beautiful spot. And in fact, both of the spots that we've been to so far have been a lot cooler in temperature, which has given us a little bit of relief from the heat on the main track. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples believe that signs of the Rainbow Serpent's journey is evident in the gorge, where they believe he ascended from the earth, carving a path against the sandstone to create the creeks and ultimately the gorge. Over 4,000 years ago, the indigenous peoples who lived here left their own traces of artwork and tools throughout the area. Their knowledge of the natural environment and their spiritual connection with the land is something that you can truly appreciate when you walk around the area and experience the incredible landscape for yourself. Here we are at the Balloon Cave. So this is the first trail off of the main track, and it's so easy that I can even do it in a pair of thongs.
The Caernarvon fan palm is apparently edible, so you can either eat it raw, or if you bake it, apparently it tastes a little bit like cabbage.
Used during sacred events, traces of red ochre can be seen on this track at a meeting place where the ancestors once gathered. Now people from across Australia make their way to Carnarvon Gorge to see the stunning scenery and enjoy the ever-present wildlife. We're back on the road, making our way up to Emerald. The quaint towns that we encounter along the way have so much character, but none are as striking as the town of Springsure, where the mountains seem to emerge out of nowhere. We're only 5 days into our camping adventure, and I can't wait to see what we'll discover as we venture further into the Aussie outback.